Usually, sometimes we do like a shot before each episode. Do you want to do a shot? I know it's 8 a.m. for you. I don't know
How,
if you want to
how,
drink.
how do I look? Oh, like a shot?
Yeah.
Oh, girl.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Spoken Truths podcast. I am Dana Fira, and so today's episode is a little bit different. So I had this opportunity to interview an old friend of mine, but he lives across the country. So we were like, okay, let's just do it on Zoom or Google Meet. So this episode is a virtual podcast episode. We've never done one before, so I hope you guys still enjoy this episode, and it was virtual, but I did have a lot of fun. And I know that the last episode was like the end of the Spoken Truths podcast, but we've had this interview lined up. We were supposed to do it like a while ago, and I still wanted to do it. So I hope you still enjoy this episode. And after this, the month of December, there will be no podcast episodes, and things should resume after the new year. So just stay tuned. If you're not following the podcast on social media like Instagram or Facebook, really, you should be. That's where you can get all the news and know whenever we're going to drop again. So stay tuned and don't unsubscribe. We'll be back. So yeah, enjoy this episode, and I'll talk to you guys maybe in January. And have a good holiday, truthers. Talk to y'all later. Deuces. Well, don't leave. Listen to this episode, but deuces for me. I'll see y'all later. Bye. Hey, guys. Welcome back to the Spoken Truths podcast. My name is Dana Thera, and it's still called Spoken Truths. I know we had a whole end of Spoken Truths last week or 2 weeks ago, but this week is still Spoken Truths until something changes. So today I have a guest on. You want to introduce yourself?
Hey.
What's your name?
Frank Bailoni.
Frank Bailoni. Thank you so much for coming on Spoken Truths.
Absolutely. And having me.
Of course. And we're just going to be chatting it up today, talking, getting to know each other. This is a very different kind of episode. I don't know. We'll see how this works, guys. We'll see how this works. So we usually start with a check-in. So how are you feeling? Mentally, physically, everything.
I feel good. It's been a rough year, but I am finally at a place that I am good.
You good?
Yeah.
I'm happy.
How about you?
I'm good, honestly. Yeah, it has been a rough year, to be honest. 2023, I mean, like, it's about to be 2024. That's crazy.
I feel like it went the fastest like any year's gone.
It definitely has. Yeah, I guess the thing about getting older is like time just flies by.
Yeah. Like you just keep working and it just all goes.
Yep. Hate that for us.
Sorry if you just heard my dogs flailing around over here.
Oh, good. So we also have an item of the week and a song of the week. So item of the week is like your favorite item, anything you've been loving, or like any recommendations. So do you have anything you've been loving?
I just redid like everything in my apartment. I bought everything new, but my favorite item, I bought these like organizers for my cabinet from Amazon.
Ooh.
And they changed the game.
They make worlds of a difference. Organizers?
Yeah, and you realize, like, at least for me, having everything in a set spot in the cabinet, you realize what you don't need. Like, if it doesn't fit in the organizer, get rid of it. I don't need it.
Or if you haven't used it in like 6 months, you're like, why is it still here?
Yeah.
So do you have a song of the week?
Song of the week is 10 I See by John Michael Howell.
Okay. I'm not sure who that is, but
I just found him recently. But I've been listening to all of his music nonstop. He makes like those singing, making coffee videos on TikTok.
oh, okay.
He did something really cool this year. And he hasn't dropped an album, but he drops a new song every Friday, every week. Every Friday. So I think his goal is 52 songs for the year.
That's a lot of music.
Yeah. So every week he drops something new, and I like his voice a lot. He has a really cool vibe.
Props to him. He sounds like he's a hard worker.
Yeah. And from what I can see, he does everything himself, like the production and everything. So super talented, super good.
Okay. What's his name again? John Michael
Howell.
Okay, John Michael Howell. Now I had to check him out.
Yeah.
I don't really have an item of the week. I know I just forced you to answer the question, but I'm going to skip it. They already know what I like. My song of the week, and we'll talk about it. It's your new single that we'll get into later on. I really love it, but we'll talk about that later on. So now let's get into the shots. And you guys know we do shots here.
You got it.
Frankie is in LA, y'all, so it's 8 a.m. for him. So shout out to you for taking a shot at 8 a.m.
You still do it. We got my whiskey. So
good. How about chaser? I have my juice. I always have to have a chaser.
Oh, I don't usually use a chaser, but I do have coffee.
Okay, that's something.
Oh, we're good. If I need it.
Okay, cheers.
Cheers. That's a wake up call.
Okay, I'm up now. I'm ready. So how do we know each other? Because I feel like people want to know.
We go back.
We go way back. I haven't talked to you in probably like 5 years.
Yeah, since high school graduation.
Yeah. So let's talk about middle school. Cause I remember middle school.
I feel like middle school is such a blur, and I feel like it sounds very narcissistic of me when I talk about middle school and high school, because like I wouldn't say I I definitely was not popular. I was like at times a quiet kid that like wasn't.
Who were you?
Right. Well, that's from acting and doing the shows.
Yeah.
In middle school, I feel like a lot of people knew me, but there's so many people like in different grades too that knew me, and like they'll meet people and be like, "Oh yeah, like you know Frank Bailoni? Oh, I know him," but like we never really had an interaction.
Yeah.
I feel like again,
That's
I feel
a lot
like,
of our school though. Everybody gets kept it at like a bare minimum.
right.
Unless you were in the same friend group, I would say people would just like, we know of each other because our school wasn't that big.
No.
I don't know who everybody is in a way.
Yeah.
But you're not close with everybody, which is not bad.
Right.
Some of those people, you don't want to get close with them. You just want to keep it like a hi, bye, keep it simple, keep it cute.
Yeah. That happened a lot.
Yeah.
Especially when I feel like transitioning from middle school to high school, I think high school I definitely kept to myself more. I think in middle school I was definitely a little extra.
Were you? I don't remember. No, you weren't.
You don't think so?
Not that I can remember. Because if you were, I would have remembered. We had gym together all the time.
Always. And we always, any classes we had together, because of our last names, we would
be like right next to each
other and everything.
Yeah. It would be like the gym line, it'll be me, and then you, and then everybody else. For school, it wasn't that bad. We always had gym together in homeroom, probably.
Yeah.
Homeroom was always,
And I remember
high school,
we definitely had science classes together. I remember sitting at those lab tables,
Mm-hmm.
everything, and I just know that like no matter what classes we had, you and I were usually next to each other because of our
Yeah.
last names,
Yeah.
and we would always just like turn to each other every time the teacher would say to do something. Me and you would look at each other and be like, "She."
Right. I'm like, I know you. You know me. Let's work together.
Yeah. Or we just
Oh,
like roll our eyes and be like, "Is this bitch
I
serious?"
know. We were a little bit like, we weren't sassy, but we were like, we were rebels.
1,000%.
Like we were rebels. Like we questioned everything. We were like, why are we doing this? We don't want to do this.
I
But we
don't
were
want
in a good way though. We weren't bad kids.
right. It's not like we really acted out, but we fought back.
Yeah, yeah.
Question. Like,
Question.
oh, you want to write this paper? Well, why are we doing
Why?
that?
Is it necessary? Do we have to write this paper?
Yeah. It was very much like a listen, you don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. Why are we here?
Exactly. Can we go home?
Exactly.
So I remember also in middle school that you were doing music. We're like, when did you know that music was your passion? Because you were also like a theater kid in school, I remember.
Yeah. So I have always loved music. I was like 2 years old. There's videos of me putting on like full performances in my living room with my sister of The Wizard of Oz.
Oh.
And I would like make my dad be the lion and my sister was the scarecrow. And well, I would change up the characters, whoever was singing at the time. That was who I was.
Okay.
And they were everyone else.
Okay.
So like Somewhere Over the Rainbow, I was Dorothy. I was the Munchkins. You know, I played every role.
You were the lead. You were the main character.
Yeah, whoever was the center of attention, that was
right.
That was me. And then I sang a lot, just like with my mom and my grandma, cooking in the kitchen, like growing up, belting out like Whitney Houston, Celine Dion, Frank Sinatra, Frankie Valli, and the Four Seasons, like all the classics. My dad loved Dean Martin. But just like I come from a really close Italian family. So we had like the tradition of everyone getting together on Sundays to have dinner and sit at the table. So just like cooking and stuff, we'd wake up by like 8 a.m. and my mom's downstairs starting to cook and music's blasting. And so music's definitely always been a part of my life. I think I got my first role. I did a theater camp when I was 9, and I think that was my first like intro into like the theater music world, like actual intro.
Did you ask your parents to go to that camp, or was it like something?
Yeah, it was definitely something I wanted to pursue. I like just watching TV. You know, you see like kids your age doing things
like Nickelodeon and Disney.
Yeah, and you're like, I could do that. I want to do that. I don't know. Do you remember who like JoJo is? Like the original JoJo, like Leave, Get Out, Too Little, Too Late.
Oh yeah.
Like all over MTV at like literally 12 years old. Had her first #1 single.
Yeah.
So
she was big.
Yeah, and I want to say we were like 6 or 7 when that happened, and I was like, she's the young kid, the youngest #1 artist. Like, I could do that. I want to do that.
Yeah.
And I've admired her entire career. And yeah, so I started pushing to like go on auditions, and I thought that like I had to be in the theater actor world to make it. Like, I remember I went on these big castings for like commercials and things, like made my mom and my grandma together. 2 of them took me to New York at like 9-10 years old, and we're in these big casting rooms with like 300 kids my age, boys, girls, and they give you a little slip of paper and you go in front of a camera and like 5 men, and you have to read off this paper, and while they're doing it, you're being projected in front of everyone. And like there was this little girl that went up, and she was probably younger than me, and girl had the most attitude and spunk. And I was like, what am I doing? Why am I here? And like,
doubting yourself?
Oh my God, entirely. Because those casting calls, especially when you're young, I feel like they're so intimidating. Yeah. And especially when you're learning what you actually can do. And
was it your first casting call, or was it? Okay, it was the first one.
Yeah, the first one I ever did, and it was, I mean, it was an experience. I didn't book the role, but that kind of opened the door to theater and being on stage performing. And I started doing it at a local theater group. I got my first role in Grease, and I was the teen angel. I sang Beauty School Dropout. And then from there, it was just kind of like taking off. I was 12. We were in 6th grade. I don't know if you remember, I had to miss like a full week and a half of school. And it's because I was in Newark and I was on season 1 of X Factor. And I got...
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. I left and we took the train, and like you spend all day with all these people, you're singing, warming up with like groups of people, and then you audition in front of like all these producers, and then they're like, okay, here's your ticket, you can go, come back tomorrow. And you audition for a new set of people. And you go through that process until you make it to the television rounds. And yeah, I remember that was like one of the hardest things as a 12-year-old, being told it wasn't that I wasn't good enough. They were like, oh, you're just too young.
That is very young.
Yeah. But like the age cutoff was 12. So to hear that, I was like, oh, they're lying. Like adults lie.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, you're horrible. Give up.
Because you know you have the talent.
Like, you think, but then when you hear something like that, you doubt a lot. And I actually, for a while, being told that, and like my family loved my singing, and they would be like, you're so good, whatever. My grandma pushed it insanely hard. For a while, I ended up being like, well, you're telling me I'm good, but they basically told me I wasn't good enough, so I'm gonna step back.
Oh, so you step back a little bit.
Yeah, and I got a lot into the behind the scenes stuff. I did a lot of stage crew in high school. At least I stopped like the acting part, and I did a lot of like photography and clothing and costumes and all of that. And then I would say around the time we graduated, it was Anna Kendrick's role in Pitch Perfect. And I saw everything she was doing, and I was like, I need to sing, and I miss it.
Got back into it.
Yeah, but there was definitely a few years that I.
So while you weren't doing it, did you think about it every day? Did you say, okay, I need to get back to this one day, or were you just like, I'm done?
I thought about it and I loved it, but I think in my mind, I never thought about it again as like, okay, this can be my career. Like I think I very much thought of it as like, okay, it's something you're good at and you love to do, but you're not going to make it. And I was like, okay, like.
So all that stemmed from the X Factor audition? Like you really doubted yourself after that? That's crazy.
Yeah.
All those years?
Yeah, I think I missed out of 4 years. And then even it got hard when I got back into it because I had stopped singing like through the most crucial years of my life. Like through the most crucial years of my life, I'd stopped like while my voice was changing and everything. So when I went back to singing, I actually was like damaging my vocal cords because I was trying to belt out the way I used to. And I can't hit those Jennifer Hudson notes anymore, I'll tell you that.
You have to relearn how to do everything.
Yeah. And I'm finally at at a place with my vocals that I can carry a tune healthily and figure everything out and get back to singing those notes like I used to. But no, yeah, in the beginning it was rough, and I lost my voice like every time I sang because I was straining. And
how did your family feel about like when you stopped in high school, especially your grandma, since you seem like she was your biggest supporter?
oh yeah, they weren't happy. I heard about it every day.
Yeah,
like, what? Like, oh, why aren't you singing? You should be doing this. And then like when Justin Bieber took off, it was like, well, you could be doing that. Why aren't you doing that?
oh
And
yeah,
all these other things. And I was like, no, for sure. But at that point, with the way people were pushing it so hard, I kind of felt like, was it like, I questioned, was it ever my dream? I was like, was it my dream or was it yours? And I will say, like, I say that just in the way of me being a rebellious kid, I guess.
mm-hmm.
My family never pushed it any farther than I wanted to take it.
Okay,
Like,
it was always a choice.
Yeah, it was never like, you need to sing, we're going on this audition. I was definitely like, I didn't have like a stage mom. Like my mom was like, oh cool, like this is something you want to do, cool, I'll take you.
Yeah,
It was never like, this is what you have to do and we're going, and like put this outfit on and whatever.
yeah,
It was never that. I definitely called all of those shots.
yeah. That way, like it makes it more fun, because when you're being forced to do something you don't want to do, it's just like, it seems like work.
Yeah, for sure.
But I want to get into after high school, because somehow you're in LA, and I don't know when that happened, or like, yeah. So talk to me after we graduated high school, the last 5 years. What happened? How did you get to LA? And then we'll talk about how LA is for you.
So I went to New York for high school.
Did you go to Pace?
Yes.
Okay, I remember that. Yep.
Yeah, so I went to Pace, and I didn't study music or anything. Got a psychology degree.
Mm-hmm.
While I was at Pace, I like came home for a weekend in New Jersey, met a guy, never dated guys in my life, and things progressed pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
We moved in together, we got a dog, like full fast track to marriage. Marriage was discussed like very quickly.
Yeah.
And he actually he was the one, when I started getting back into my music, fully supportive, fully encouraged me. And he was like, oh, hey, like I read online, there's this open casting for The Voice. You should go. And he kind of pushed me to pursue music in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I started going on more vocal auditions, and then.
And were you still in New York? Did you graduate from Pace?
No, I did graduate from Pace, but because of this relationship, I started commuting, and I lived in Pennsylvania. And I would take the train in every day.
Where in Pennsylvania?
Bucks County.
My goodness.
Yeah, so
Was he living in Pennsylvania? Was he working over here?
Yeah.
Pennsylvania? Okay.
He grew up in Pennsylvania.
Okay. Damn, Frankie.
I know. So the things we do, right? But I would drive from our apartment to Hamilton train station and take the train from Hamilton, New Jersey, up to New York. And as most do, that relationship ended. Mm-hmm. I, at the time, was definitely in a dark place, which I feel like a lot of my music reflects. And I really didn't know what to do about it. Mm-hmm. Because it was like, I lost the relationship, lost my dog, lost the apartment. I didn't have family or friends in Pennsylvania, so I had to go back to Jersey. It was just kind of like everything in my world kind of fell.
Like you felt like you had to start from like the bottom again, and because you thought you had, it's gone.
Right. And it was like, okay, well, I worked it out that I can take all of my classes at Pace online.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, so because I have nothing, I'm going to go to LA and really pursue this music thing.
Okay.
While still being a full-time online student in New York.
Quick question. How was the relationship during COVID? Because a lot of relationships.
So we ended right before COVID.
Right before, okay. So this is end of 2019, beginning of 2020.
Yeah, so this happened, the breakup happened in July of 2019 and kind of lingered like back and forth figuring things out until September. And then within 1 week, it literally happened in 1 week. I was like, okay, well, if this is really over, I'm going to LA. And I packed up and moved. I moved here with nothing. I didn't have a place to stay. I had nothing. I packed one suitcase, got on a plane by myself, and landed here.
It reminds me of that song by the Cyrus. I hopped in the plane at LA. That's you.
Literally. I had nothing. And I ended up trying to rent an Airbnb. And I walked in and it was like a hostel type situation. Like there were 16 guys living there.
Ooh.
And, like everyone had bunk beds. And I walked in and I was like, I can't stay here.
Mm-hmm.
So I called my sister and I was like, I'm here. I have no idea what I'm doing. I was like, maybe I shouldn't have come.
Yeah.
Whatever. And she was like, hold on, let me call a friend from high school. So she called her friend who was out here, and I, lucky enough, was able to stay on his floor, literally on an air mattress on the floor for like a week. I stayed, and every day was just like looking at apartments, figuring everything out. Finally landed at a great place right in Hollywood. Okay. And then from that, there was a Starbucks right downstairs. I lived on a top floor, like wraparound balcony, and underneath us was a shopping complex, and there was a Starbucks. So I would go sit there every day to do homework. Okay.
You weren't working at the time. You were.
No, I was fully living off savings and everything I had planned to get married with.
Yeah.
So fully just working and trying to figure out music and paying rent. Mm-hmm. There was a barista at the Starbucks London who I was talking to her. She noticed my hand tattoos. I have my whole like hand done.
Yeah.
And I have a tattoo from Mac Miller. It says Malcolm on my finger. Mm-hmm. And she was like, oh my God, love Mac Miller. Like, and then on her break, she would come talk to me. Mm-hmm. Fast forward now, she's one of my best friends.
Oh, great.
Turns out she's also a songwriter. Oh. So me and her collabed. She has co-wrote many songs on my album and everything. And it just kind of like, everything just kind of started working. I had met this guy, Taylor, who's a producer, who he's also one of my best friends now. He does all of my music. Okay. And we kind of connected through this like creative networking app. And he was like, hey, I listened to your stuff. It's cool. These are my credentials. This is what I've done. We should work together. And I was like, cool, you free tonight? And he was like, yeah, come to the studio. And I think after that, we sat in the studio for like 1 week straight and made a 6-song EP. Oh, wow. That came out. And then COVID had happened. So I was like, I guess I'll go back to Jersey. So I spent COVID with my parents. And then was still working remotely and everything, like with working remotely on the music here.
Yeah. Okay.
Still doing school. And then right after COVID kind of settled down and we graduated college, I was like, I'm going to move here full time. And I've been here ever since.
So you've been there since like mid 2021.
Yeah. September 2021, I moved back. So just over 2 years now.
And how are you liking LA?
I like it. I don't hate it.
That doesn't sound convincing.
I'm very much like, it's the people who make a place. It's not that I like a place or dislike anywhere. But I think it's very much who you surround yourself with. LA, a lot of people can be social climbers, and you don't know what you get.
That's what I heard.
People, yeah. It's like in New Jersey, I feel like we're very like in your face. If we don't like you, it's kind of like,
very direct.
Yeah, it's kind of like, well, and
we don't have time for that fluffery, that fake. Hey, we're like, okay, straight to the point.
Not at all. And it catches people so off guard out here.
Yeah.
When people come up to me and like, I don't know, and I'm just like, nah, we don't need this interaction. I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, getting past that, I've met a lot of really cool people. I've worked with a lot of really cool people. I flew to Nashville around my birthday, I guess a year and a half, 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago at this point. And I worked with, do you remember, I used to listen to Chase Coy a lot. Do you remember Chase Coy? His music at all?
No.
I admired him so much, and I actually got the chance to work with him.
Oh, that's great, though.
In Nashville.
Do you feel like LA has helped your career? Because I think a lot of people have that same, I need to move. Like, location doesn't matter when you're trying to build something for yourself. Like, there's not much in Jersey. Well, luckily in Jersey, we're close to New York. So opportunities are in New York. But do you feel like moving was the best thing for you in your career?
100%. Yeah, I mean, the friends I've made out here and the quote unquote team that I built, I don't think I'd be anywhere, have as many songs out without them. And I only met them from coming out here, and it's just been like the craziest thing, especially being out here. Like, you're like walking down the street and you run into a celebrity who like you admire, and then you start talking to them, and it's like, oh, you're a normal person. Like, and like there's a few people that like I looked up to growing up, like singers and songwriters that like I'm friends with now, which is pretty cool. Like, I text them, and like the fact that I could just pick up my phone and be like, hey, what do you think of this? And like send out for advice, or be like, hey, can you jump on this? Or they'll text me and be like, can you feature? And yeah, sure.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool experience.
Okay. So let's talk about your single now. Another Tattoo just dropped. I listened to it. I loved it. It was replaying in my head. I was actually like, I was cleaning up. I'm like, okay, it's going again. I'm like, I need to get it out of my head. So what's the story behind it, and like what inspired you to write this song and then put it out there?
So I got into a relationship that was not the best. My friends were very much like, you need to start choosing yourself. And
friends always know.
Yeah.
They always know.
Like, trust me, listen to your friends, because I could have saved a lot of time. But I made a lot of excuses. He was a recovering addict, and a lot. I don't want to say like a lot of the things were his fault, because a lot of it was on me, because I put up with what I did for so long. And I just kept kind of using his addiction as an excuse for his behavior. And I was like, well, I deserve to be feeling like this because he's struggling and he has nowhere to take that out on. So like when he treats me a certain way, like it's okay because he's dealing and coping, and like I could take it I'm a strong
So we
person.
know that's not okay, right?
Oh no, 1,000%.
Now we know. Oh God.
Yeah, and to be clear, it was never a physical thing. It was mostly just like very mental of like, if I didn't talk to him for a certain amount of time, it's like, why are you mad at me? Who are you going on dates with? Why aren't you talking to me?
Yeah.
But he would drop off the face of the earth for 2 months and then come back and text me and be like, how are you? Just out of nowhere. Like no context of like, hey, sorry, I've been MIA. It'd just be like, here I am. And it got to like, it was a very back and forth, like pretty toxic thing. I have a whole album about it called Playing with Feelings. But when it came to writing this song, I was kind of writing it from a place of insecurity in myself that was like, when I wrote it, it was very much kind of like, I thought loving him was painful, so I'll go get another tattoo to like deal with that pain.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until we completely finished the song, and there's probably like 5 versions of this song. I like wasn't happy with a lot of the lyrics. We went in, we rewrote some stuff. I was like, this sounds too, I was like, I don't want it to be so direct. Stop saying you, because I'm not like blaming him. I'm blaming, like, it was just like a lot of back and forth until I made sure it was what I wanted. And when it was finally done, I was listening to it and I was like, oh, I'm not talking about loving him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about it being painful loving myself.
Okay.
And like, feeling like I'm not enough to be with, and like, why would anyone want to be with me?
Yeah.
It was definitely like a lack of self-love and confidence from that relationship, but within myself, that I have finally, I think, evolved past. And it was definitely that kind of wake up call moment of like, what's happening.
So do you feel like writing the song kind of like got you through something? Because it sounds like as you were writing the song, you would come into realizations about what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah, no, 1,000%. And that's, I mean, the way, at least that I write, I don't know how it is with other songwriters, but from my experience, because the people that I work with are my close friends, a lot of times while we're in the studio writing something, they know everything about me, and they're the ones telling me that I should have been out of the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the time it's just like friends helping friends, and like we're kind of hanging out, like feeling the vibe, like talking about everything, getting it all out, and then it's like, well, that could be a song. We can write that. And yeah, I think it's really healing in that sense, because it's like, you know, friends helping friends get over something, and then you make something that can help other people through it.
What's the music making process like? Because as somebody like me who doesn't write music, I want to know. So when you say I want to write a song, what's the first step, the second step, and then eventually, like, what do you have to do to put it out?
So it kind of fluctuates. I like to have an idea. There might be like a quote or like a word or something that I really like, that I'll take into the studio and be like, I want a song like about this. And then Taylor's really good. I will admit I am so horrible with like the musicality side of things and like knowing what things, like how to build things. I'll say a word and he'll build this entire instrumental around it.
Okay.
And then we'll listen to it. I'll write like a top line melody. We'll go in, record the melody, hear that shit on a loop 24/7, and then write lyrics in that sense.
Okay.
There's been times I've heard a melody. I'll bring him the melody. He'll base the song off my melody. Or there's times like recently I'm sitting home and I'm like, I'm bored. I want to write. Send me some beats. I'll write for someone else. I don't care.
Okay.
And he'll send me like a beat file or something that I'll go through, and then I'll write to that.
So is Playing with Feelings your first album?
And
how was that like?
Yeah,
putting that out?
That was terrifying. It was scary. I was very scared for everyone to hear it. I got really deep on that album. That it was very much centered around a breakup and anxiety and also addiction. From every standpoint, from me being with the addict, from me thinking that I was drinking too much at one point, which it was a very unhealthy way. Like I was definitely drinking to cope, and that was unwell. But the takeaways from it, like hearing people's stories, when I put it out, I was able to do my first ever release show, which I was very excited about. I did it right in North Hollywood. And it was just so great. Just like the interaction. I'd never sang any of my own songs live before. So that experience was surreal in itself, but I had people that I didn't know there. And this woman came up to me at the end and she was like, your one song, she's like, where you sing about the sun and the moon, she's like, the only reason I'm in town right now is because of my sister's funeral. She's like, and we used to always say that she was the sun to my moon. She's like, so walking in and hearing that song, she's like, that's the first song that I heard when I walked in. She's like, I knew that I was meant to be here, and you saved my life tonight. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, me?
Yeah, right? Like, how do you know me?
Right. I was like, that's so crazy.
Yeah. Cool.
But yeah, the whole reaction from putting that out was just
so incredible. That I'm sure that made everything feel like you're doing exactly what you're supposed to do. You're in the right place, right time.
Yeah, cool. No, absolutely. And I have, I started selling merchandise. Like I have my CDs and sweatshirts and stuff for things. And I think it was really weird when like someone bought my CD in Australia. I had to send a CD to Australia.
You're international.
Yeah, we got everywhere.
That's cool.
No, it's been really cool.
Yeah, I'm so happy to see like, it's crazy how we grew up together. We've known each other since we were probably like 12.
Yeah.
So it's crazy to see like how everybody has their own journeys now. We're all living different lives and everybody, this is different. Like I'm literally sitting here interviewing you. And the last time we talked, like we were in gym class and I was probably cursing the gym teacher out because I was doing that every day. That's so crazy. Like we're adults. What the hell?
Oh, I know. No, but I will say high school Dana, I loved high school Dana.
I was a bitch.
You got me through high school. I was like, as long as I know I'm going to class to sit with Dana and hear her jokes and everything.
Oh, yeah. I was a clown. I was talking too much. Really? Let's forget about high school. Sometimes I'm like, what the hell was going on during those 4 years?
I question it all the time. When like people ask that question, they're like, what were you like in high school? I'm like, don't answer.
Right. Let's not talk about that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So what are you doing now? How is life? Like what's next for you?
I'm still working on the music. We are about halfway through my second album.
Okay.
Which I'm very excited about. I think I can announce the name. The album's called Champagne Feels.
Okay. Y'all heard that first here.
It is. So I didn't announce the album, but my song, I have a single out called Champagne Feels.
Yeah.
That was the first single off the album, and then 5x5 and Another Tattoo. And yeah, we're going. I'm excited. This new music, Another Tattoo is the saddest one on the album. This whole album is kind of written from a more place of healing. Okay. The songs are a little more upbeat. A lot of them are more fun. I get to use my voice in a different way. We found out that I can hit whistle tones, so there's
Mariah Carey.
yeah, there's a lot of whistles in there. We like found out we could do it, and then it was like, all right, we're doing it 56,000 times.
Mm-hmm.
And now Taylor's like, stop whistling. We're not putting another one in a song. Like, enough. But yeah, no, I very excited. I have hopefully a lot more coming up.
Are you doing shows over there in LA?
I haven't booked anything. Mostly my struggle with it is I don't play any instruments.
Okay.
I just sing. So when booking these shows, it's hard for me to like lock in a guitarist or someone.
Oh
to
yeah,
play.
you need a team.
Yeah, because sometimes I'll like reach out to a guitarist and he'll be like, yeah, I could do it, but then the venue's not available that night that I ask him. And then I'll book the venue and I'm like, all right, we have a show this night. And he's like, wait, I'm not free. I have another gig. And I'm like,
oh,
okay. I'm like, this is a struggle, but hopefully
you're going to learn instruments eventually in the future? Or is it
I would love to, but I would love to. I don't want to put it out that like, never say never.
Yeah.
You know, it takes a lot of discipline though.
Yeah.
I don't know if I got the time.
I don't know. It might be worth it.
Right.
You don't have to worry about a guitarist.
Yeah, that's why I would love to. I'll say sure.
And one more question. So are you not acting anymore? Or are you just strictly like sticking to music?
So
it's not for you.
So I have stuck mostly with music.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of realized like music is just everything I want to do. So I haven't acted in a while. However, I did just act in someone's music video.
Okay.
An artist, Devin Alexander, his song Attention Whore. I played the attention whore. And doing that and it was like, I think it was like 2 12 or 16-hour days. We did it back to back, Saturday, Sunday. The most fun experience.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe I do want to act.
Yeah.
That would be fun. I was also on a reality show called Gown and Out. It's an Amazon Prime reality show.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so just like being in front of a camera, doing stuff like that. I've done a lot of modeling. Like, any way that I can be creative, I would be creative. I love just the creative aspect of things, seeing how other people like work and do their stuff and how I can help or be incorporated. I would do it in any way, form.
So you just love the arts in general.
Yeah.
That comes with it.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah. That's so good. This was a fun interview. I don't have any more questions for you, but I feel like now I know you. Like now I know the adult version of you.
Yeah.
I only knew you from like the high school and middle school days. So
he's been through a lot. He's changed.
Yes. I used to call you Frank, so I guess now you go by Frank.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny because I introduce people out, like when I introduce myself to people out here, I say Frank, and that's just like what I go by. And then it's like so random. I've had friends that will randomly say Frankie to me, and I'm like, what the fuck did you just call me?
I think I just called you Frankie like twice in this interview.
But that's the thing is like, I'm like, oh yeah, it's like just my hometown friends and my family that call me Frankie anymore. Yeah. And I think it's so funny when it happens because yeah.
I'm like, Frank, who's Frank? I know Frankie.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it definitely made the switch. More of a stage name. Frank.
Yeah. I understand because I've been like using my full government name now instead of just Dana. I'm like, call me Dana Fear. That's I feel like that's more me now. I'm like an adult.
Oh, 1,000%.
Yes.
totally get that.
That's great though. So do you have anything else coming out soon besides, I know you just dropped a song?
Well, the lyric video for the song will be out soon.
Okay.
Definitely have new merchandise that we're working on. That's really comfortable and good. I recommend buying it. But yeah, as of right now, just working, trying to get it done. But I'm also a perfectionist, so it could take a while.
Yeah, take your time. Honestly, it's worth it. So where can the people find you? I know you have a website.
Yes.
I was going through it.
So frankbailoni.com. On Instagram, it's just Frank Bailoni. I think my Twitter, Frank Bailoni, was taken, so it's Bailoni Frank.
Okay.
TikTok is Frank Bailoni. Everything's just
everything Frank Bailoni. Yeah, just if you guys just Google his name, you'll find him.
Apple, Spotify, all the platforms. I'm on everything. So
okay, thank you so much. If you guys listen and make sure to follow him. I'll have everything in the description. I'll have everything linked so you can find him. Thanks again, Frankie, for coming on the Spoken Truths podcast.
Of
Did I just call you Frankie?
You did.
Oh my God.
That's okay. Great. We love it.
Thanks again, Frank, for coming on the Spoken Truths podcast. And I'm sure we'll have you on again in the future, but in person this time.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Yes.
I'll bring the shots.
Oh, yes, please. I don't like whiskey, though, so bring me some tequila.
That's fine. We got it all.
Okay, sounds good. All right. Bye, y'all.
Thanks.